Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Interjections podcast. This is the end of the season. We're doing our best of 1995. We were going to try to get together, but a snowstorm derailed our plans. I think it's safer to stay virtual than, and we wouldn't get gems like this. Would you have brought your tree costume?
Probably.
Tree costume.
It's the end of the year. It's the festive part. I haven't
What he's
taken this
doing,
thing
playing
off
on
in
outer
30
space.
days. I've been dressed like this since Christmas.
Have
It's
you-
that weird liminal space between Christmas and New Year's.
I have no idea what day it is, but
Yeah.
this is probably coming out on January 3rd. I still haven't finished editing the December episode. I keep calling myself out to oh, this is coming out on December 19th, right? To try and force myself to get it done. But here we are.
Time doesn't exist.
Yeah.
But I do see a window that implies that it's daylight. I have no idea. I'm in my basement.
Yep. Next year will be better. Anyway, we had a good year this year. My top five, my personal top five, are, I think, five perfect films. But it's starting to get that way where these are the films that truly formed us and got us to our love of cinema. I loved looking back on this year. It really made me feel connected to the movies I grew up with and then the movies I rediscovered that were too adult for me as a child. As we always do, I take the top five from all of us and I churn them together and put in what is called a Borda count. They use this for MVP voting for sports and ranked voting for politics and stuff. And basically, if my top film is like Showgirls, it'll get 5 points. If my second one is like Jury Duty, it'll get 4 points. So and so forth.
Jury duty.
I'm not spoiling anything yet. Don't worry.
What a bombshell.
I was just rewatching all the poster boys to see what points Jeff got. But anywho, we actually, because Jimmy hasn't written in yet, I imagine I'll get his letter by post probably on the 1st, just the way the snow's been.
His Sherpa told me that. He'd
yeah.
be with us.
I know what he probably would say, but it probably wouldn't change most of our top. And typically what we always end up with the border count is that our top movies get 5 points and they're all in the top five. And then we just get to talk about those. And then one film is on all four of our lists, and then it's the top film. Such is the case even with just three of us. So I imagine this would still be the same, just whatever his favorite film would be in here as well. If I ever get that, I will have tagged it right now, just to at least get him an honorable mention. That being said, because it's just three of us, the fifth place is sort of a tie between all of our second films. So you can see where this is going for your guys' choices, but I'm going to pick arbitrarily. The first film we can talk a little bit about is Jeff's number 2, which is Four Rooms.
What?
It was a surprise to me. I thought we didn't like this, but I've
This is
never
a
seen
joke,
it.
right?
Nope.
Jeff, you gotta explain this.
If you remember back, he actually grinned the whole time we talked about that poster boy
The
last
movie
month.
is excruciatingly bad.
I know. Might be good. He has nostalgia glasses on, I bet.
He's got
Basically.
glasses on, but they're not nostalgic.
It was one of those things that it struck me because that was the one that Jen introduced me to and I didn't know existed. And normally she's against most Tarantino projects. And then this is that. And it's like, oh, okay, this is actually so it was it was a very formative part of his. Like it was not his first what number?
It's after Pulp Fiction.
This is
After
technically
Pulp
like its
Fiction.
third.
Yeah.
And it's sort of just a collaboration, so he doesn't count it for his 10 film rule.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, he's only a
But-
fourth of it, so.
Yeah.
I'm also a fan of like weird anthologies that all like happen in the same space. Yeah, it was dopey, but it was fun. It was almost like he was kind of letting his hair down for a second. And I don't know. I remember enjoying it when I saw it.
I get it. It's a very
I
Jeff
have
kind
no-
of thing.
When's the
Yeah.
last time you
It's-
saw it?
Probably 5 or 6 years ago. But
It's also very sweet because it's part of your and Jen's relationship.
it's
That's-
one of those things
I
like
like that.
it's rare when she recommends a movie that's like, oh, I don't know. But that was why it stuck out to me.
Maybe I'll try to watch it in between recording and editing.
I
Know
might try
what
to
you
rewatch it again.
think.
I'm just gonna keep the rose-colored glasses on.
It's
one.
stupefyingly bad.
Well,
Okay,
Rod's a worst performance.
yeah.
that's fair.
My number 2 is The American President, which we just talked about. And I was going to take a moment after we did our board account to mention Rob Reiner a little bit. We don't have to this second or anything, but this might be my favorite Rob Reiner film. It introduced me to Aaron Sorkin. It introduced me to Michael Douglas, Annette Bening, who's one of my favorite actresses. And we talked a little bit about this in November when it came up, but I love the repartee between the two leads. And Michael J. Fox gets a really great monologue towards the end. David Paymer has a fun part. Richard Dreyfuss. The cast is immaculate. And the political ideas actually help form how I feel a little bit about the nation. Made me a little patriotic, hopeful for a nation that actually works together, you know. It's what led into the West Wing, so it makes sense why I like that kind of thing.
This happens to mark where, as most people wouldn't probably debate this, this is like a creative drought after this for Rob Reiner as a director.
I saw the scenes from a life. They highlighted his best films, but there is something to be said about anyone that still liked the films that he made after this one. Like they're not great films, but they are passionate films. He stayed in love with film, and that's really what I wanted to talk about for Reiner. They didn't even bring up North, which is an infamous bomb, but he still loved it and he still stood by what he made, you know?
Right.
And whether he made a great film or a terrible film, like I think he really knew what he was doing and knew how to get audiences to feel something, even if it was not
Abject
good.
hatred.
Right. Sorry. That's Roger Ebert's words. But at least The American President, I will be able to hold up as a way to remember Rob Reiner in a good light, in a happy light. And he brought us such great performances and ideas. And this didn't color my choice either. This would have been at the top. It was very tough for me, what I was
I can
thinking.
vouch you talk about this movie quite a bit.
Yeah. Surprised it's not my number one. But
Actually, I'm surprised.
do you remember what your number two is, Corey? I know you said it yesterday. So
Yeah, The Usual Suspects.
I actually chose this because it was my number six. So I
Yeah.
had this go last of our ties. So if that's any tiebreaker, I know it would have been close.
It's interesting that you brought up Aaron Sorkin because I feel like him and Chris McQuarrie are two of the best writers of their generation. And this movie is set up like a puzzle. And actually, one of the few movies I think benefits from multiple viewings because then you pick up red herrings and clues along the way. It ultimately is a shaggy dog story, but I think it's done in a very clever way that it doesn't bother you by the end that you've kind of been hoodwinked by the writer and the director.
Yeah.
Also, speaking of like a murder's row of a cast, that ensemble is so good. They're all disparate in their acting choices, but they all work so well together. Like Benicio del Toro is borderline unintelligible.
But
And part of the reason for that is most of his dialogue has no bearing on anything in the plot. It doesn't move anything forward, but that's a memorable character because of how marble-mouthed he is and because of his performance. And rightfully so, Kevin Spacey got the best supporting actor Oscar for this. If you study his performance, I guess is a spoiler, but you can see him studying things in the room and then incorporating it into his story later on. So yeah, I think it's a masterclass in both acting, writing, and directing. I'm done, Jeff. I'm done, Jeff.
yeah, good call saying spoiler alert so we didn't put it
Yeah.
on. I knew Jeff hadn't seen it because he said that when we brought it in last time. You tiptoed around everything. It's a great film. We should get to that, Jeff.
It's on the list.
Yep,
Ever-growing
so
scroll.
much. I have been writing down the ones I really want him to watch. So I'm gonna try to hold your feet to the fire.
Do like a book club.
Yeah, right. Actually, that's not a bad idea.
Hasn't been spoiled for you yet.
We should watch a movie once a month. You know?
Oh, we do that for the podcast, don't
Oh
we?
wait, what if
Oh.
yeah, then we could do a
Oh,
podcast
yeah.
about it. We could
Yeah.
watch. Yeah, exactly.
Jeff's hit list. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Right.
Yeah. Next up, I'm gonna go for our number four. It's actually kind of a tie for the next three because there are number one films. So a little bit of a spoiler there, but we'll go with my number one film for fourth place. While You Were Sleeping.
Wow.
Yeah. Are you surprised?
I thought it was gonna be something else.
I know. You thought it was gonna be Apollo 13, right?
No.
Oh, okay.
I thought it was gonna be Toy Story.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Well, so while you were sleeping, though, that is probably the film I've seen the most of all these 1995 films. And I realize that's the thing that I come back to. Despite any nostalgia glasses, I think it's one of the best romantic comedies. Sandra Bullock pulls in an all-timer. I can actually quote this, just like The American President. Bill Pullman is effortlessly charming. Peter Gallagher's goofy and enjoyable. And Sandra Bullock is in this movie kind of an outsider. And it is so warm to be accepted by a family, whether you're actually part of them or not. And that's something I always looked forward to as I grew to be an adult. It's something I think my parents understood. So I think they both saw themselves in Sandra Bullock and Bill Pullman. So to me, this is like seeing my parents get together, you know? I don't know. It reminds me of growing up and falling in love and I don't know, everything that goes into this movie. And it's got just enough weirdness because she's a toll booth operator that saves someone from getting run over by a train, and then he goes into a coma and she fakes being his fiance. It's so weird, but it's also very typical of my kind of film where it's a little sitcomish. It shouldn't really happen in real life, but they make it work despite that inanity.
You describing it sounds so unformulaic and probably borderline offensive.
Really?
But well, yeah, because on the premise shouldn't work
No, I think that's what
at
I should say.
all.
The premise shouldn't work, but Sandra Bullock makes you believe in her.
And I think it was the first movie I saw John Turteltaub.
Yeah, and I
He's
remember
actually kind
reading
of an underrated director.
there was something at the beginning of this year. I read an article about its 30th anniversary, and they were talking about how much they loved making it. They could tell, like, not that it was going to be a successful film, which it was, but
Yeah,
that they had made something that they would admire even if it failed at the box office. So I think that's what you want to strive for when making a film, like
right.
that you loved it even if it's not going to be successful. So, oh,
Yeah.
I'm the one that has the list. So, number three, you just mentioned it. Jeff's number one was Toy Story.
Oh, nice.
It also got 5 points.
Sweet.
Also makes sense. He said when we brought this up that he'd seen it like 10 times in theaters, right?
Yeah, it holds the
Good.
record for most times I've seen a movie in theaters. I think it was up to 8 times at one point. But
Right ahead of Bucky
that's
Larson.
right. But the whole thing is like movies were $7 back then, so it was a little bit less of a thing. And then they kept re-releasing it because it just wouldn't, movies just stayed in the theater for way longer at that point. But no, I mean, this is just it was a formative childhood movie. It was a game changer for the animation industry, and now unfortunately it's gotten to the point where almost everything is just this 3D CGI, but like at the time they hadn't done that before. And it was insane because I remember watching it with my dad and he was like losing his mind over just like what they were capable of with the graphics. You remember specifically spiraling about the when Buzz first shows up and he's like breathing, it's like his POV from inside the helmet, and you see his reflection on the glass behind. My dad's like, "What the fuck is going on?" And we're just kids, we don't get it. We're just like, "Ah, cool, spaceman, yeah." But you know, getting to appreciate where all of that was coming from makes it way more impressive. I still don't think there should be 5 movies about it since then. It's weird because it's become this sort of like self-fulfilling prophecy because it's about collecting toys, and then the second one especially was about those people that are crazy collectors about things, and now it's the 30th anniversary of Toy Story, and there are original toys that are just went from the movie that came out that now are just like fetching hundreds of thousands of dollars because they were like associated with it. So you have a movie about fictional toys that beget these toys that are now worth more. It's just this crazy meta thing that I was thinking about the other day. But all that to say, it's a great movie. To
It
infinity
truly
and
is. It
beyond.
changed the industry. It
Yeah.
is one of the most pivotal films in cinematic history.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because like he said, 2D animation is kind of passe now. It's obsolete. Miyazaki probably does it, is like the last.
Even then,
That.
I know he still does hand-drawn animation, but you're able to use the computer to finesse it. I'm
Right,
sure to process it to do something such as Puss in Boots, where you have a style, The Last Wish, that not the first one, but
right, yeah, yeah.
or Teenage Mutant Turtles Mutant Mayhem. They have that style which makes you
The frame
remember
rate.
2D. Yeah.
Yeah.
We could go back, but it's gonna be computer animated no matter what.
Right.
It's changed the way we process
Because
things.
paper doesn't exist anymore. Everything's computer.
It's fine.
There's stuff in that that's still dazzling. Like you said, the reflection. I kept thinking about all the textures in Sid's house.
Yeah, all the textures, all the jokes that went way over our head, like how the carpeting in his house was from The Shining,
Yes, I was thinking about that in particular. That and the
or
wood paneling and everything.
and
Mm-hmm.
the one of the action figures was a hooker.
Mm-hmm.
It was just
Yeah.
it was just a fishing rod with legs.
Legs. Yep.
Prostitute
Um,
Barbie.
right, exactly. But and it was just I don't know. It was just a brilliantly done thing, and I love it.
Yeah.
Like you said, they're pushing it with 5, but they have a good premise for 5. So I think who knows?
They do, and
I don't
it's
mind.
gonna have the same. But everybody's main argument is, wait, didn't they separate 2 of the main characters at the end of the last one?
That's true.
That's
Yeah.
what's blowing everybody. They're like, this can't work. How do we somehow Woody return? Like, what do we?
Luckily, I don't think any of these sequels have diminished the first one in quality.
No.
No,
You can still go back to this. It's a scant like 88 minutes
Well,
or
2
something.
and 3 are almost tantamount in
Sure.
quality. It's
it's
like a perfect trilogy if
You
you
could
just
pop any of them in just for fun.
yeah.
But
it's crazy just that this franchise has become a multi-generational thing too. Like going back to the collectible toys, it's just like, oh, when I was your age, I had an actual Buzz Lightyear from the first movie.
I had a Rex.
And right. I had all
Well,
the Burger King toys, I had the puppets, I had
by the time the third one comes out, you're Andy.
basically. And now
You identify with all those emotions that he's
yeah.
going through.
Like Andy was the first movie character that I grew up alongside,
Right.
which is totally weird because like you also don't see that kind of continuity in
In
animated films a
films.
lot of the time.
Yeah.
Like in the sense that in all however many Aladdin movies there were, they're basically the same age in each one. You don't see them age.
Right.
Simpsons don't
But
age.
Right.
Yeah.
Toy Story was about aging out of things,
Right.
which is also why it's just fucking heartbreaking most of the time.
Yeah.
Very true.
But we could do a whole other episode just on Toy Story.
Yeah, yeah.
But
We could
we
do a
gotta
whole
move
thing on
on.
the whole series. Yeah. So our number two film is going to be Corey's number one. You said something about holding you to the flame, but I wish I'd done that next then. Heat.
Yeah, this influenced like a whole generation of filmmakers, including Christopher Nolan, admittedly. The Dark Knight probably wouldn't well, it would exist, but maybe not to this level. The heist scene at the beginning is an almost direct nod to Heat. Heat's just epic filmmaking on another level. It's about 3 hours, but like any Scorsese movie that's 3 hours, it just breezes on by. And also has such depth and richness to the characters that you almost forget that it's a Pacino De Niro movie where they're actually in the same space and time, and they don't meet up until about two-thirds of the way in. But again, the dialogue is so literate during that diner scene. It's riveting. And Michael Mann's so meticulous about sound design and framing that shootout that happens outside of the bank is just bravura. It hasn't been surpassed since. Leaving aside that these two acting titans actually get together at some point during the movie, even outside of that, it's a fantastic movie. It's one of the best crime dramas ever made.
Yeah, and that scene is probably the best one then, or
It's
cherry on
worth the
top.
wait. It's worth the wait.
Yeah,
And now that they're talking about doing a sequel, which I don't know how that's gonna work,
I don't think you need it.
especially with Val Kilmer gone.
Toy Story you can get away with it, but Heat, I don't know
Yeah,
why.
they're kind of doing a thing where they're making it a prequel and a sequel at the same time,
I
but
don't.
I don't want to see de-aged De Niro or Pacino or any of that.
Yeah,
Plus, if you'd seen the movie, I don't know how they continue on,
I don't
but
need to either.
no,
It's a moment in time for these characters, you know?
right.
Like that's what I think of sometimes. You can have a whole life in a biopic or like a whole epic for a family, you know, but
Yeah,
sometimes a film is the key is that big heist and that's what everything's leading up to and that's what ends their biggest moment of their lives, you know?
right.
Doesn't need to happen. It's like Ridley Scott doing Gladiator 2. That sort of made sense because he just gets to return to that world, but it's not,
Well,
it also
funnily
wasn't
enough,
necessary.
Russell Crowe had the same problem I did with that movie.
Wow.
He pretty much said, when did Maximus have time to have an affair? And to kind of sully his reputation. Part of the reason I don't like that movie.
See, it's not necessary. So they
Yeah.
might damage the reputation of Heat if they made a sequel. But
Technically, it's going to be wondrous. I know that.
you think so?
Yeah, because even in his last movie, Ferrari, I know that people don't like that movie, but it's a technical marvel, that movie. Again, he's very
I agree.
the reason he's almost Kubrickian because he only makes a movie every couple of years. He gets into the nuts and bolts of everything he does.
You know what? Maybe this is sort of like a chance to do something he couldn't do with Heat. Maybe there's some technical
Really?
limitations for shooting a heist. And
Right.
maybe he doesn't need to top himself, but he can
It
do
could be a
something
good
different.
companion piece. Who knows?
Exactly. If it's a companion piece, that's all I want. That's what Toy Story 2 and 3 are.
Right,
You know? It's not like they were trying to outdo themselves.
right.
So maybe if Heat 2 is just another time, you know?
Yeah, the best thing about Heat is that it's not gimmicky stunt casting that you got those two acting legends to be in a movie together.
Right.
Even if you put two other actors in there, it'd still work. Maybe
Sure.
not as good, but it would still work.
And it's the timing of them being at the height of their games.
Right.
Well, before we get into the final film, I wanted to mention the other ones we mentioned in our top five real quick. I'll just list them and we're not going to have like clips playing over them or anything. But the whole thing was, if you notice, we never actually mentioned any of the films that we covered during the year, but Jeff included The Crossing Guard and Dolores Claiborne, which we
Nice.
just covered. Yeah. I almost had Dolores Claiborne in it in my top five. That was my highest of the year. I don't know if you had what your highest film was, Corey, that we covered.
That we covered?
Yeah.
Let me think about this.
Well, while you're
Part,
while
part
you're
of that
thinking,
I was gonna say,
Well, part of that was I realized that, outside of Toy Story, which was basically the only movie I watched that year, like when it came
In
out
95.
in
Oh,
95,
yeah. Well, you're young. You're six.
I hadn't really seen no, it was
Six for the first
more than
half.
that. It was more than that. But I,
6 and 7,
oh
right?
God, get
I'm
out.
You were. I'm sorry. That's the age you were.
gonna kill this guy.
I didn't do that on purpose.
Probably Demon Knight, actually.
Sorry.
No, 90,
Demon Knight might be
90,
the highest one.
95. By the time Toy Story came out in 95, I was
You were 7, right?
8, 7. No, you're right.
Yes,
I
95.
can't
You're
I
born in
can't do
88.
math. I can't do math. Fuck it, whatever.
So yeah,
Anyway, yeah.
Chris,
Yeah.
the answer to your question might be Demon Knight.
Oh, yeah. That's
Of the ones
Okay.
you covered, yeah.
All right.
This is the
Fun
year from
movie.
the 90s I've seen the most movies. So I actually had quite a
Okay.
few to choose from. But anyway, the other ones we had in our top fives collectively,
Yeah.
Nixon, which I
That's my
still
number.
need to see. That's a good one from Corey. You
Yeah.
also had Before Sunrise, which was a first time viewing for me this year. I wanted to mention I didn't get it into my top five, but Rob Roy is probably my favorite film I saw this year. That was from 95.
If we had, yeah, that would have been higher, but we hadn't discussed it.
Yeah, almost made it into my top five actually, but I also had Apollo 13, which we mentioned earlier, and Jumanji, which of course I love Jumanji, so that still
Mm.
made it in there. Yeah. I said
I
five
did I
perfect
did love
films.
Apollo 13, actually.
That is a great
I
movie.
did
Yeah.
not, for some reason, that did not come up on the list of things that I was trying to backtrack.
Oh well, could have been in here.
It could have been.
Either way, there was one film that ended up on all three of our lists, and probably,
Ooh,
if not being number one, would have been on Jimmy's as well.
I know what it
Uh,
is.
with 7 points. Seven.
Seven. Yeah.
We all like this film, obviously, so it makes sense. It's a masterpiece in griminess, in mystery, in pop boilers. It's what introduced me to David Fincher. What do you want to say about it?
It's crazy. This is almost a banner year for Kevin Spacey because he's in this as well.
Yeah, can't deny his acting prowess.
No, honestly, this probably, yeah, this established Fincher as a force. And you know what? The thing you got to give the credit to him and the producers and the studio for is that ending is uncompromising.
No sequel here.
Yeah, it's very, I don't want to say nihilistic, but it's very fatalistic. And I feel like most audiences may have rejected this nowadays, but back then they were able to take a chance with it. And it's not just, I mean, the ending is tour de force, but even up until then, the atmosphere, it's constantly raining. It just has this, like you said, like bedraggled ambiance about it that's so absorbing. We've seen the cliche of the detective on one last job before he retires. We've seen that done before. But Morgan Freeman brings such grace to it, and Andrew Kevin Walker's script adds so many layers to that performance that it doesn't feel cliche. Same thing with the rookie cop. We've seen that done before.
Yeah,
But I feel like they've made those characters and those stereotypes more multidimensional than they normally would be in any other script. So if, again, Fincher's notoriously a perfectionist. I feel like he probably did like 70 takes of everything.
oh
Uh,
God, the guy in the bed.
yeah, the guy in the bed. But yeah, the movie's completely unpredictable. And if for once, usually when I watch these serial killer movies, it seems like they're just not only toying with the characters, they're toying with the audience, but it felt logistically plausible. I bought into the murderer's motive in this more so than I would in later movies like Alex Cross movies that Morgan Freeman did. But yeah, it's phenomenal.
Yeah,
What do you
you said you made a lot of good points that were what I was thinking and can never really articulate as well as you can. But thinking back as you were saying, I would say a couple of points that I loved in the writing are that Morgan Freeman, or in his performance as well, Morgan Freeman's exhausted by Brad Pitt. He really doesn't want to be dragged down by this new guy. He just wants to be done with it. So that's not something you typically see with a guy on his last case. He really actually wants to be a mentor, usually.
right?
Brad Pitt is not good at his job, really. You don't really see that. And he's kind of impatient, and that is what will undo him in the end.
Right.
So it's kind of like to your point, the multidimensional characterization of this, they're not cliches that way
No.
in those two regards. And you mentioned when we talked about it in the actual episode it came up in, the fact that they show Kevin Spacey coming out and revealing himself for the wrath portion. It's not typically done in serial killer stories. So this upended your expectations.
There's
And
even an Easter egg if you go back, you see him in the diner
right,
in the scene with Morgan Freeman and Gwyneth Paltrow.
right. This is like Usual Suspects, a film you can go back to
Oh yeah.
multiple times and see new things every time. I've seen it 3 times, I believe, and each time it's something new catches your eye. I don't know if you have anything you want to say about it. Jeff?
Only that it was also one of my earlier exposures to Fincher, and it was just brilliantly done. Like it's one of those things. Like it still resonates. And I remember I had, like, shortly after seeing this movie, I had done a project for school that was like, another Seven Deadly Sins inspired thing. It was fucked up, and it was beautiful, and it was just a great movie. That's all I have to
Beautiful,
say about that
beautiful,
right now.
fucked up,
That's all I
great
was.
movie.
That's all I got to say about that
I got
right
to
now.
say about that, pal.
Well, there we go. Seven's our number one film in 1995. I can't
Nice.
wait to do this at the end of the decade and
Great year
look
for
at what we
Kevin
gave.
Spacey as a fictional criminal.
Right. Oh.
Yikes.
Fictional.
Yikes.
Ooh.
Oh boy.
Ooh.
Well, on the reverse coin of that, I wanted to mention Dick Van Dyke. We wanted to talk about him last episode because the day we recorded our December 1995 was Dick Van Dyke's 100th birthday, and he is one of the nicest guys in show business. So we just wanted to shout out the fact that he made it. He can no longer play with Legos.
By the time you pose this, I'm dead. What are you playing? What are you doing right there?
Yeah, Dick Van
Wait, do you
Dyke.
have a favorite Dick Van Dyke role?
What's my favorite Dick Van Dyke role?
Don't you say
Uh,
Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
no, I actually don't love Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. I think it's not overrated, but
I always
he's
thought that it was just a ripoff of Mary Poppins.
it's on the level of Mary
It's
Poppins
Mary Poppins
in
with
It's
a
some
just
people's
car.
eyes.
an hour longer.
Yeah,
Mary Poppins with a car.
let's look up Dick Van Dyke.
My first exposure to Dick Van Dyke was in Diagnosis Murder,
Hell yeah.
which
What the
was
hell?
a procedural sort of like CSI type thing that I watched with my grandparents all the time when I was over their house. And he played, it was basically like Dr. House, but more of a soap opera.
Yeah.
Dick Van Dyke's son Barry actually played like the cop character.
And he's
That's
good.
Yeah, so it was good. So that was my first exposure to him. And so years later, when I saw like a younger Dick Van Dyke tap dancing with penguins, I was like, "What is going on?"
Yeah, you know my
No,
first memory of Dick Van Dyke,
what's yours?
the commissioner and Dick Tracy.
Which we covered in our first season. So we've actually included him in our show.
That's right.
I've heard that he wanted to do a version of A Christmas Carol
Yeah,
soon. Like he
now.
wants to play Scrooge, and I'm like, just do it. Just start rolling. Just go.
Gotta get it done, bud.
Him and Mel Brooks.
He almost lost his house in the Alta Vista fire.
Oh
So
my
it's-
God, could you imagine Dick Van Dyke and Mel Brooks as Scrooge and Marley?
oh my
Let's
God.
go.
Oh my
God.
God, come on, make it
Um,
happen.
I do want to say what my favorite role is. Probably my first introduction to him was Bye Bye Birdie, which also happened to be the first
Yes.
show I
Oh,
did at our high school
I've
when I
never
was
seen
a
it. You gotta
freshman.
watch it.
Yep.
He's phenomenal in that. That's clearly like he was meant for the stage. He was meant to be a multi-hyphenate, sing, dance, act, make people laugh, pratfall. And my parents and I went over the Dick Van Dyke Show through the 2010s. As we went through it, each actor from the show started passing away, and we're like, oh God, he's like taking their life force just so he can make it to 100. But here you go, bud, you made it. He is, and everyone else in that show is wonderful. It's one of the best sitcoms. So
I want to watch the comic, which was him and Carl Reiner. I want to watch that movie. I
That'd
heard
be
it's
cool.
good.
Yeah, I just saw he was apparently in that Kidding TV show that Jim Carrey did.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah.
I only got through like 4 episodes of that.
Yeah, you gave up.
It was hard to keep up.
He was the voice of Tubby the Tuba in the titular Tubby the Tuba tune.
Cool.
Also, have you seen how flexible that guy is?
Uh-huh.
He puts us all to shame, you know that?
I know.
Yep, yeah, he's
He's still going to the gym at 100. What have you done this morning?
this.
Yeah.
Sat in front of a computer
Uh-huh.
talking about
Freaking
movies.
Celsius.
Yeah, I'm healthy. I'm fine. No Fritos for me.
My breakfast may or may not have been Christmas cookies and
Hey.
2-day-old coffee.
Since you brought it up, I do want to ask, do you have it off the top of your head any worst films of 95? Because I can have one
Worst?
off the top of my head.
I'm glad you mentioned it.
Yeah. I mean, I made my whole list. Mine would be Dr. Jekyll and Miss Hyde. Since I was going
Ooh,
through the poster
That's
boys.
real bad.
rough.
Cutthroat Island.
Oh no. Yeah, I mean the one before I had to watch it for this was probably The Langoliers, which is a bad Stephen King TV movie.
Yeah, I
Uh,
forgot about that.
I also
Well,
had
that's a TV
Sabrina, Ace Ventura, When Nature Calls were down in my
Hey,
bottom
hey,
5. Oh,
hey.
hey, they're bad.
Surprised none of us put Casino.
That's good or bad?
That's
I think
good.
it was on my list.
Probably in your top 10.
Yeah.
It was in my top.
I mean, well, I didn't see it, and I didn't want to like skew the data that bad.
Okay, I know what the
Good.
worst movie. I got two worst movies. One of them you'll know maybe, and then the other one you won't know, but you'll know the gimmick. I think I talked about it.
I bet.
Theodore Rex is probably the worst.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah. Well, we talked about it a little bit.
Yeah, it's a buddy cop movie with Whoopi Goldberg and an animatronic dinosaur.
Yeah.
I'm so
Of
ashamed of myself.
Okay, for picking
No,
4 rooms.
no, yeah, given everything
Honestly, that
else
would be
that
in my
came out
bottom.
that no, I just finally like for some reason like these particular I looked, movies that came out in 1995
Uh-huh.
and there's a whole slew of them that didn't load when I was looking at them.
Uh-oh. Skewing the data
So,
again.
Okay,
skewing
so
the
the other
data.
one is Mr. Payback, which I
Yeah,
talked
that's the
about.
one. Yeah,
Yeah,
we brought that up earlier in the year.
Yeah.
Fascinating project.
they've
But
scrubbed that thing. They tried to scrub that thing from the archives, but
I'd
I
love to see it. At least we found the trailer so I could actually have a clip of it.
see the funny part is you'd have to find disparate parts because it's all interactive. You gotta choose your own.
It'd be cool if they could release that on DVD just as a hallmark of the 90s.
It's god awful.
Like a
Bob Gale should be ashamed of himself.
fragment. Yeah.
The best movies of all time, and then this.
What would you have included, Jeff, now that we've already recorded our top 5?
Hackers.
Oh, yeah.
Hackers is fun. I saw it for the first time this year, and I had a lot of fun watching.
Would it have been your number one, though?
No. It would not have been my number one. It may have
Hackers is number
it may
one.
have knocked out Dolores.
Oh, okay.
Oh, why?
That's okay. I did like Dolores. I thought she'd end up in my top 5, but she was number 10. Anyway,
No.
speaking of which,
Yes.
I actually wanted to do, usually we will go into awards and I'll have assigned everyone something specific, but I think with just 3 of us, I wanted to get in the moment. What was your favorite performance from the movies we covered?
What we covered?
What did we
Yeah.
cover again?
Oh, God.
I know. Okay, I got one right off the top of my head. Billy Zane in Demon Knight is so much fun.
All right. So best supporting actor, Billy Zane from Demon
Yeah.
Knight. All right. I
He's
should probably pick
just
something.
tongue in cheek about the movie.
Well, should probably pick something myself. Oh, you know what? Since we just covered it,
Let's go, Kathy Bates.
well, I think Kathy Bates should get Best Actress. I had thought that when we covered it, but I actually want to challenge your Billy Zane with David Morse from The Crossing Guard.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, he be. Would you say he's supporting?
I'd say Jack. I'd say Jack's the lead.
Yeah. Okay. There you go.
They'd be nominated against each other
Huh.
at least.
Well, that'd be interesting, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think David would. The
David-
Academy would not vote for Billy Zane as much as we
Yeah.
liked it.
Yeah, he'd probably get a Razzie.
Yeah, he was good in it though. I'm
It's
not
fun.
saying. How about Mekhi Phifer in
Clockers.
Clockers? Yeah,
Oh yeah.
I remember.
See, the thing is, I'm trying to remember what we covered.
I could read them in order of what I rank them.
Sure.
Dolores Claiborne,
Fuck.
Kids. What?
John Leguizamo and Pyromaniac's love story.
The hell is the matter with you?
I win.
What?
Still working on that.
The musical that we came up with.
Yes. Real quick, you want to know something funny?
Sure.
So I couldn't remember what we covered this year, so I looked up the podcast, and the AI overview actually lists us as the second of 3 podcasts with interjection in the name.
Yeah.
we
There's
go.
Interjected podcast refers to a few different shows, primarily Let Me Interject, an entertainment and news podcast,
Yep.
and Interjections, the Undiscovered Decade, a film
Let's go.
podcast revisiting the 90s.
Hell yeah.
And the closer description is Interjections, the Undiscovered Decade. 4 hosts explore
second.
specific months of 1990s films, learning about the era.
Wow.
We made it.
Okay.
It took
All right.
5 years, but the algorithm's
mean,
finally getting
right.
to us.
I got one for best actor.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with Jason Lee from Mallrats.
Sure.
He's hilarious in that movie.
Yeah.
He carries the whole movie.
Well, in that regard, I would give Best Supporting Actress to Claire Forlani.
Okay.
I thought she brought that film together.
I mean, while we're at it, Ben Stiller's hilarious in Heavyweights.
Yes,
That's true.
he is.
I think those are some good choices.
Yes, sir.
And that actually was going to lead me into our poster board discussion because Jeff, you're in trouble this year.
Uh-oh.
You ended up with negative points.
What?
Yeah.
How'd
So we're
that-
gonna have to. Well, he recognized too many films, so that actually demerits. I don't know. I don't
Oh.
make up the rules.
Yikes.
Have
You
something
do
for
make
you.
up the rules, though.
You're going to guess this poster, and that might actually help you.
It's
Make up
Pyromaniac's love story.
Yeah, I was hoping you forgot Pyromaniac's Love Story, so I
Yeah,
shouldn't
how
have had
could
you
I
go back to the
forget?
movies.
I'm literally writing a musical about it.
That's true.
I might actually buy a physical copy of this movie.
Mostly, I just wanted to show you this poster. It's actually
Yeah.
pretty good. So it's
It is. It
it's a
was-
matchbook.
It looks like the DVD copy I have of Reservoir Dogs.
Right. And I was going to say, oh, does this remind you of anyone? And then they're just living inside the matchbox. It's maybe better than the movie itself. So,
That's true.
unfortunately, watching this movie this year diminished it for me. As much as I love this movie, I will admit it's not great.
No, it's but
But
it's a ridiculous.
Can we nominate William Ball for one of the worst performances of the year?
yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I have
What
another one for you.
is that? Fargo?
Nope.
Anatomy
Next
of a
next
Fall?
year's next year's Fargo. Anatomy of a Fall, because it reminds
Was
you of Anatomy of a Murder, which is what that poster's referencing. Maybe
Clockers?
shooting him up will help.
This is Clockers.
It is Clockers.
Yeah.
It's just in case you already forgot, you could win back your points. But guess what? I lied to you. You actually improved wildly on last year. You got 149.15 points this year. Last year, you only got 88. Yeah, that's a hyper specific number because you guessed some funny things this year. Some highlights include you got 6.9 points for guessing Polly Shore right off the bat. You had a great tagline, Justice is a dish best served wacky. Corey got 10 points because you had the best title of the year, Courting Disaster.
Oh, nice.
So that was all on jury duty. That's all pretty great. So the point totals too. Corey got 18 points, which is actually an improvement. You keep interjecting on the poster board, but coming up with good stuff. So keep doing that.
No,
Jimmy
thanks.
actually got 2 points before he had to go on his
Extended
Expedition to the North Pole?
yeah, I was gonna say what's the Rumspringa. Yeah,
Yes.
when Jimmy had to go on his Rumspringa, he
He's
still
on
got two
the
points before bowing out because he race baited me during the first month. Anyway, I got 3 points. I've never gotten points before, but I actually gave myself 3 points for saying Mission Imporkable for Gordy.
Ooh.
But some of my favorite stuff was when we did Dr. Jekyll and Miss Hyde. Jeff cast Robin Williams in the role and said he'd just change into himself. Corey got a point for calling it Dating Myself. Jeff's tagline was, "The cure for male loneliness is right in this bottle."
There
Yeah.
we go.
All that was pretty good. We came up with some good titles. I did like Jeff's delivery of Chevy Chase wouldn't do Disney for Man of the House. There were a lot of good stuff, but it was very clear that this was the line you finally crossed where you started recognizing movies you'd seen or posters you'd seen at the very least.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we have to go harder next year or just funnier, but you are doing a really good job with coming up with ideas and names, and we should write these down. It's going to be fun at the end of the decade when we list the best titles, the best plots and stuff. I'm going to have to go through everything again.
And then we spend the next 10 years remaking them all.
Yeah,
in
that's
my
what our
image.
40s will be about. Actually making.
We're sweeting all of them.
Yeah, why not? Why not? Yeah, so you got a lot of points. Were there any trends that we noticed over the year, or more importantly, I think I said this last year because it was the halfway point, but we're getting towards the back end of the 90s suddenly, and we've clearly crossed the demarcation point from where it was clearly still an 80s mindset into what was being written in the early 90s and developed in the mid 90s.
Honestly, some of the
We did
best scripts ever produced came out in 95, I feel like.
we did a lot of crime drama things this year. Like Kids and Clockers are very
Yeah,
similar.
Yeah, well, you know what's funny? Kids came out, and we didn't cover it, but Doom Generation came out,
right. Similar.
which are very similar. There's both
Bill,
like shock value movies about the desensitization of that generation.
Yeah.
yeah. I feel like there was a sense in Gen X that there was sort of doom on the horizon despite having such success after some Wall Street booms because
Right.
everyone was getting off the cocaine they'd done. Things were getting more
Yeah.
serious. We were buttoning down. Like, think about what's the Winona Ryder film, Ben Stiller?
Reality Boys.
Reality Bites, like coping with true adulthood for Gen X.
Right.
You know, we're finally in the point where they're getting into the business world and the film world, so they're making their own stuff. So what does that mean for them? They're no longer the auteurs of the 70s that lived in a grimy New York or an ignored Los Angeles, you know, or what's going on in the Midwest, you know. And what does the end of the century mean for us? I think
Right.
was starting to come into focus.
Watching movies at the end of the millennium.
Uh,
5 years away from the world exploding.
well, we didn't know.
Yeah.
We didn't know.
Which
That's
is why
why
Hackers is so prophetic.
Right. Yeah, I mean this year is also a time when we were getting things like Toy Story, which were changing the game.
Yeah.
Like you had the auteurs winning stuff at Sundance, like Clerks and Fincher doing Seven, where he's coming into his own. So people were getting their calling cards out there. Music videos were becoming a thing that you could start as your career and then get into the films that way, you know, with people like Fincher. Anybody else have any ideas about what we want to talk about for the year?
I mean, what are our New Year's resolutions for 1996?
There you go.
Oh,
I don't do resolutions very well.
they're all screwed up by the second week of January.
I resolved to finish the editing in time for the actual months to end because 95, I literally didn't get one done in time.
This is gonna put a burden on me, but I'm gonna try to watch every movie that came out in '96.
I'm gonna be better about social media sharing
Oh,
Oh, the
yeah.
podcast?
Oh,
and
yeah.
We're
like
all slacking.
helping increase the production value of this fine podcast that we have. We made it work, but we can make it better.
We can make it better. I do think I love our discussions, and it often makes me like the film better, especially if I didn't like it. So I do still appreciate you guys and
Yeah.
what we do here, even if it's the bare minimum on all our parts. So
The bare minimum podcast.
Hey,
Yeah.
I think I found a theme.
yeah,
And we talked about this in most of the movies.
okay.
Actually, every movie we covered. The extravagant expenditure of shooting on location started to put a damper on budgets back then and caused studios to lose money. So, like, you
Hmm.
think about Waterworld, Cutthroat Island, and Congo, all losing money because they shot on location, especially when you shoot on water, which,
Well, even when we discussed Clockers, Spike Lee got in trouble for cutting down some trees, if you remember.
oh yeah, I remember you saying,
That's a thing that happened. Like he had to spend some of his own money to get out of that situation.
right.
Have people look the other way, you know.
So I
But
think this was the end of the auteur era.
even though it had just started. Well, to your point, that's going to drive people into the studios and start using green screen for backgrounds again. Because they were
Well, yeah,
using matte paintings, but now the advent of green screen and the computer animation of stuff like Toy Story will lend itself to have us not have to go to locations to shoot these things anymore.
yeah. And the mid 90s was the rise of like smaller independent studios like Miramax and stuff like that. Because you'll see that with,
Lionsgate.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because Clerks is Miramax. Shakespeare in Love was a big thing for Miramax.
Yeah. Well,
All
they
the
dominate, especially
all
the
the
back half of the
Tarantino movies.
90s.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Well, I am looking forward to 1996. I know there are several films, much like this year, that are classics that I hold near and dear to my heart. But yeah, thanks again for being here with me to talk about the 90s. I hope Jimmy finds what he's looking for out there in the great big world.
He's just running the whole business from jail.
Well, happy New Year, and I hope you enjoyed the podcast this year, and I hope you enjoy our 1996.
Okay, bye. The eternal brotherhood of the Evergreens acknowledges you.
My
The
shirt
Holy Order of
peed on
Water
your
Bu-
shirt.
The Holy Order of Water Buffalo.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I know. It is very difficult for you to not be an asshole.